Greetings, Mr. Rogues here with yet another video. In this video I'm going to discuss 5 Batman villains that I personally don't really feel belong in the Batman Rogues Gallery. Now I'm not gonna rank these in any particular order, and do let me know down in the comments if you agree with me about these villains, and also let me know which Batman villains, if any, you don't feel belong in the Batman Rogues Gallery. And without further ado, let's get to the topic at hand. The first villain I want to discuss is the Rainbow Creature. The Rainbow Creature, a really bizarre villain. It's become a bit of an icon among obscure, weird Batman villains for some reason. I don't really know why. Maybe it's because of the pure absurdity of the character, if you can even call it a character. The Rainbow Creature is more of a mindless monster. The body of the Rainbow Creature is split into different colors, as you can obviously see, and each of these body parts in different colors has a different power. I forget exactly what these powers were. It's been a while since I read a comic the creature appeared in. But obviously a character or creature like this does not belong in Batman. I mean, yeah, sure, Batman has some more fantastical villains like Poison Ivy and Man-Bat and Clayface. But the Rainbow Creature, that's really pushing it. Just the tone of the character doesn't fit Batman. So what I think should be done is you should take the Rainbow Creature and give him to Green Lantern. I think the creature would fit in perfectly in Green Lantern. You just need to reimagine him. Instead of him being a monster spawned on Earth, just reimagine him as an alien creature. And of course you can tie in the creature's different colors with the emotional spectrum. You just add some more colors to it and feature all the colors of the emotional spectrum from the Green Lantern mythos. And you make the creature into some kind of embodiment of the emotional spectrum. And so it draws powers from all of these emotions. Rage, hope, love, fear. I guess it wouldn't be a straight up villain, it would be a mix of good and bad. This way you could actually make the Rainbow Creature into a major character or concept. I mean, it's never gonna be a major thing in Batman. It's always gonna be some obscure character from the Silver Age. But in Green Lantern, it could be a major thing. The next villain I wanna bring up is Orca. Another pretty obscure Batman villain who is very rarely used, and for good reason, because she just does not fit in Gotham City. A scientist who accidentally transforms herself into an Orca woman, a sea creature. Go ahead and guess which superhero I think she should face instead of Batman. Yes, Plastic Man, of course. No, obviously Aquaman. I mean, it's pretty obvious that she fits way more in Aquaman than Batman. It's a sea creature! When does Batman go into the sea? Very rarely. But that's where Aquaman spends all of his days. Plus, Aquaman barely has any rogues. I mean, which rogues does he have? Black Manta, Ocean Master? That's about it. He really needs more villains. Just give him Orca. And oddly enough, none of Aquaman's villains, not even the obscure ones, are sea monsters. You got several sea monster villains in the DC universe, like King Shark, the Shark. Neither of them are Aquaman villains. What were you thinking, DC? Why are you giving these characters to other heroes and not to Aquaman? It's just bizarre. You should make all of them Aquaman villains, all 3 of them. Yeah, DC. Just give Orca to Aquaman, and maybe we'd actually see her more too. And the next villain is Calendar Man! Now, I know I'd recently argued for how to make Calendar Man into an A-list Batman villain, and now I'm including him on this list. It's pretty bizarre, yes, I know. But let me explain. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I don't think Calendar Man is ever gonna become an A-list Batman villain, because nobody at DC and Warner Brothers really care about Calendar Man, and very few fans care about Calendar Man too. So it's never gonna happen, let's be real here. He's always gonna be a D-lister. He ain't never becoming a big thing in Gotham, so why not just take him and move him to another city? What about Star City. Pit him against Green Arrow. Green Arrow really needs more villains too, just like Aquaman. I mean, who does he got? He's got... well, basically nobody, because Batman, of all people, have stolen all of his villains. He stole Clock King from him, he stole Onomatopoeia from him, he even stole Count Vertigo from him, because what is Count Vertigo's most famous appearance? In the Batman animated series, yeah. If you put Julian Day in Green Arrow's Rogues Gallery instead, we might actually see him more, and he might actually become an A-list villain. But against Green Arrow instead. You could easily do it too, you just have him move from Gotham to Star City. He's tired of facing Batman because Batman always beats him, so he tries his luck against another hero. And Green Arrow is not as good of a detective as Batman is, so Calendar Man stands a better chance against him. I think against Green Arrow, Calendar Man would actually be a big threat. You first do it as just a small story, maybe a 2-parter or a 3-parter. You have Calendar Man showing up in Star City, committing a smaller crime, and completely stumps Green Arrow and escapes. He gets away scot-free. And then a few issues later, or maybe even a year later, Calendar Man comes back. And this time he's got a much bigger scheme. And you could make this a longer arc, maybe 6 to 8 parts. And this time, in the end, Green Arrow does defeat and capture Julian. But it's not easy for him. And a couple of years later, Calendar Man escapes from wherever he's been locked up, and comes back and tries to get revenge on Green Arrow. You could make this into a big arc as well. And all of a sudden we have established Calendar Man as sort of almost the arch nemesis of Green Arrow. And boom, he's a much bigger villain. And the next rogue is... Anarchy. Yes, Anarchy. Now, I like Anarchy alright, but I don't love the character, and I think one of the reasons why is because I just don't think he fits in Batman. Anarchy is such a political character. I mean, obviously, just look at his name. Anarchy. The character is all about anarchy. And Batman is such an apolitical character. There's really never any politics in Batman stories. Batman is never really associated with politics whatsoever. I mean, have you ever heard Bruce Wayne make political statements? Which is kind of weird considering he's a billionaire and gets involved in running Gotham City, but he never really talks about politics whatsoever. I guess it's because they don't want to alienate any of the fans because Batman is so popular. I mean, after all these years, 80 years or whatever it is, we still don't know what Bruce's politics are. Is he a Democrat? Is he a Republican or something else? Who knows? It's all up for interpretation. Now, Green Arrow, on the other hand, is a very vocal liberal. We all know that. He's been that ever since the late 60s. Green Arrow is a very political character. In fact, the first thing people think of when they think of Green Arrow, well, after a green costume and a bow and arrow, is the fact that he's a very outspoken liberal. It's a key aspect of the character. So you take this very political hero and pit him against this very political villain. And boom, all of a suddenly it's a lot more interesting. We have a liberal versus an anarchist. And frankly, to me, that sounds like a really interesting rivalry. I really want to see this. The liberal Green Arrow versus the anarchistic Anarchy. That's also pretty easily done too, because you just have Lonnie giving up on Gotham. Gotham is just going nowhere for him. So he takes his chances in another city. He feels he can help Star City better, for whatever reasons. And lastly, the villain I want to discuss, it's a pretty controversial one because he is a major Batman villain, so I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me here and maybe even call me insane. Rasalgul. Yeah. I don't think Rasalgul, or Ra's or whatever you want to call him, should be a Batman villain. He does not fit in Gotham City at all. I've never felt he fitted in. He's always been an outsider to me. It's like, what are you even doing here? You're not a Batman villain. You're nothing like these other guys. And I do think a lot of people agree with me there. but most people still feel he should be a Batman villain. I don't. Whenever I read a Ras story, it just doesn't feel like I'm reading a Batman story. I don't really know what I'm reading, and often Batman acts out of character too. Like, for example, in Son of the Demon, that doesn't feel like Batman at all. I think Batman should stay in Gotham City and fight weird bank-robbing freaks. Not go on these globe-trotting weird adventures where he faces ancient immortal Arabian warlords who control an entire league of assassins. It's just not Batman to me. So where should you put Ras? Well, I think you should put him in Hawkman's Rogues Gallery. Why not? I think he would fit in very well in Hawkman's Rogues Gallery, since Hawkman is also immortal. He keeps reincarnating. So, the two could have been fighting each other for centuries. That's very fitting. It's an ancient rivalry that spans a large part of human history. It's been going on forever, never ends. And plus, Hawkman also has an Egyptian theme going on there, which is sort of tie-ins to Ras's Arabian origins. I mean, at least more than Batman, the American from Gotham City. You could also make Ras a Justice League villain, because the dude is a very big threat, obviously. He controls an entire league of assassins, he's immortal, and you know, why not have him face the biggest team of heroes in the DC universe? This way he could also, you know, face Batman, but it wouldn't just be Batman, it would be the entire team. So you'd save the guy for the really big stories when you need all the heroes to go up against them. Yeah, it's just Batman fighting a magical immortal man from the Middle East who controls a vast organization of assassins? What is this? It just doesn't fit, in my opinion. And there you have it, 5 Batman villains that I don't think should be Batman villains. Let me know what you think about these opinions. And also let me know which Batman villains, again, if any, you feel shouldn't be Batman villains, and which rogues galleries you would much rather see them in. And of course, as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.